Hello and welcome back everybody to the Foodbuild factory, where today we're going to take a look at the Multiplicator. That's the guy you can see on screen right now. And as always, I'm going to show you some gameplay in the first half of the video, and in the second half of the video we're going to take a look at the perks, mutations, equipment and everything else. So let's get right into it. What this character is going to be about is it's kind of an experiment I wanted to tackle for quite a while at this point. And yeah, there's a lot to unpack here. So the whole premise about this build here was, as you probably are aware, a while back, Bethesda changed their damage model from multiplicative to additive. And it's a whole topic in and of itself, so if you're not really familiar with what I'm talking about here, there's some really good explanation videos about it from Angry Turtle, from Tier, and so on, that talk a lot about it. I really just fear that I don't really have the time to completely explain it. However, the short story is that, yeah, in the process of doing this, the player base basically lost a whole bunch of damage. So overall, what you can say is that usually multiplicative damage multipliers, bit of a double dip there, are usually way more powerful, or making you as a player way more powerful than the additive ones. And in the whole process, maybe by accident, maybe not, Bethesda has forgotten some of the to change some of the perks and effects to make them additive as well. And I might have forgotten one, but the ones I'm talking about here are the big four ones. We talk about Executioner's effect, which is a legendary effect, giving you 50% more damage once your enemy is below 40% health. Then we do have Tenderizer, which for the longest while people were quite happy with it, because it was still 10% multiplicative damage after you hit an enemy. However, one thing that I was actually pointed out in one of my earlier videos, but lately Tier made a good video about it as well, which is that Tenderizer can stack up to 40% damage as well, rather than 10, depending on the weapon you're using. You want to use a multiple projectile weapon, like a shotgun that we're using here, in order to do that. If you can hit with 4 projectiles at the same time, you will be able to get 40% multiplicative damage after the first hit. And then we do have the follow-through legendary perk. Now, with the legendary perks, I kind of feel like those were intentionally still multiplicative, because they were added at the same time as the damage change. And lastly, we do have taking one for the team, which also gives you, I think, if you're maxed it out, 40 or 50% extra multiplicative damage. And basically the whole premise of this video here is I wanted to try to combine all of these big four multiplicative damage boosts. And while that sounds relatively simple, and to be fair, with 3 of these it is relatively simple, it wasn't as simple to combine all 4 of them. So the thing is, especially follow through and taking one for the team, that's a combination of perks that I guess can be very powerful, but you very rarely see it, because getting both circumstances for those perks to work at the same time is rather hard. So if you don't know, taking one for the team means as long as you are in a team, you will get a 50% multiplicative damage bonus if against enemies that are attacking you. Meaning that I'm not quite sure about the mechanics themselves, but I think the moment they are aggro towards you and trying to attack you, it counts. So they don't actually have to hit you, I think. But anyways, that's the premise for taking one for the team. And follow through means that you will get a 40%. Okay, sorry guys, I really gotta check this. I should have done before. Yeah, 40% for both of them. Multiplicative damage bonus after a successful stealth hit. So you don't have to be in stealth to be able to get that boost, but you have to be in stealth the moment you hit the enemy. getting detected afterwards doesn't count. For 10 seconds, you will do 40% multiplicative damage. And as you can probably imagine, those two circumstances don't really work well together, because as long as you are in stealth, enemies usually don't attack you. So you don't get the bonus from follow-through. The bonus from taking one for the team. And on the other side, if you are hit by an enemy and get the damage from taking one for the team, you are unlikely to be in stealth. So the way I tackled this, by the way, is another side thing. Like, this happened by accident when I was trying to revisit my stealth power armor character. I thought that nowadays with legendary... By the way, I'm just going to stop talking about that for a moment, because here with the Scorch Beast you really saw how all of the different multipliers came into action. You noticed that for the first few shots I did barely any damage, sorry, but all of a sudden I was like doing 2 shots and the Scorch Beast was down. So just to keep in mind, maybe rewatch the scene so you can see it more clearly. But we had a real crazy damage spike there going on. And yeah, back to the topic. I was trying to revisit my stealth power armor character, just because I thought nowadays with legendary effects on power armor and the full set of chameleon, maybe it's more viable than it was. Still, however, yeah, it's not really a viable solution in my opinion, just because, yeah, you still get detected all of the time. Now, if you just stand still and let the chameleon effect... Sorry, fucking mole rats. Let the chameleon effect work by standing still, you have a good chance to get back into caution every now and then. But it's just something you gotta live with if you play as a stealth power armor character, that you will be detected every now and then get back into caution. However, this is not great for just a stealth character. It actually is relatively good for what we wanted to do here. So in most circumstances, fighting mobs like these guys or mutants or ghouls, you will likely kill them before all of these multipliers come together. The thing is though, however, once you're fighting tougher targets like the Scorch Beast or so, what you want to do is you want to clear out all the ads around them, like all the for example, little hatchlings when it comes to the Mylar Queen, or oftentimes when you fight sheep squatches, there are like, red stacks around and so on. And you want to clear those out so you only target one enemy. And once that happens, you can cripple them quite easily. By the time you do that, they should have probably already given you, or already attacked you. So you do get the bonus from taking one for the team. And once they are crippled, you can then just stand still, and there's a good chance you will go back into caution. And once that happens, you just need one more shot, which then activates follow through. And also, yeah, one shot does activate the bonus from Tenderizer. And at that point, you already have 3 multiplicators going on. The 40% from Tenderizer, the 40% from taking one for the team, and the 40% from follow through. And lastly, yeah, at that point, you will do a lot of damage, bringing your enemy down to 40% health relatively quickly in most situations. And once that happens, you get the final boost, which is Executioners. So overall, yeah, there's a lot to unpack. I think you get it here. And it's kind of hard to do all of this stuff on purpose. However, if you're getting into a habit of just fighting while crouched, no matter if you are detected or not, these circumstances will come together every now and then just by accident. So you still get a lot of multipliers going on, if not all of them work out. But yeah, as I said, especially when you really need them, meaning when you fight tougher targets, it happens quite consistently. And one thing to keep in mind here is, if you think that the damage is kind of low here, I'm using a level 30 combat shotgun here. That's not on purpose, that was just a dumb mistake. So I was playing on custom worlds here, just because, yeah, I had to get a lot of perks, a lot of perk coins, had to scrap a lot of my perk cards, therefore, and yeah, get a lot of stuff done in order to really get all of the perks and everything I wanted to have here. And what I was doing is I was just looting a combat shotgun, which I wanted to use for, whoopsie, for the whole purpose of this video. And yeah, modified it and everything. Then yeah, once that was done, I was ready to start. Scrapped all of my excess perk cards in order to get my legendary perks up. And then I noticed that the shotgun is level 30. I probably looted it from a mole rat. That's my best guess. And yeah, at that point though, I didn't really have gunsmith anymore. So while I do have other combat shotguns in my stash that I could have used or could have used to craft the exact same weapon again, the problem was I can't attach a suppressor. Because, yeah, as I said, I don't have Makeshift Warrior anymore, so my only real way was to either re-import my character and do all of the stuff again, which took me about 2 hours. I mean, I had to craft a full set of power armor and make it all have the chameleon effect. And yeah, there's a ton going on I had to do, so overall, yeah. Long story short, we are using a level 30 Executioner's Explosive Ghost combat shotgun here. And still, I find we are doing relatively well, so yeah, overall, worked out fine, but keep in mind, we're missing out on like 50 damage or so. I think I just double checked it, and the usual explosive level 50 combat shotgun does around 210 damage or so, and we are at 170, something among those lines. So yeah, there's quite a bit of extra damage that could be there, especially since we're using so many multiplicators. The damage difference actually should be quite noticeable, but still, what I wanted to do here is just take a look at if it's possible to get all these multipliers going on at the same time, and all of that jazz. And it works. I gotta say, it's kind of funny. It's really an interesting build. The fact that you are in power armor means that it's no problem whatsoever to be detected every now and then and get damaged. So we can just shrug it off kind of easily. I mean, obviously we need some stim packs every now and then, but yeah. I found it quite interesting, but there's definitely some downsides to this playstyle. The main one is that, yeah, in order to get the 40% multiplicative damage bonus from Tenderizer, you just need to use a weapon like I said, the combat shotgun, or there's other solutions, laser rifles with the beam splitter, possibly even the harpoon gun with the flachet mod. But the problem is, what these kind of weapons have in common is that they usually aren't the greatest ones. So if we could combine all of these multiplicators on something like a commando weapon, that would be crazy. I think that could actually make it so it's one of the most powerful builds. However, you are limited to a certain number of weapons that aren't too crazy good to begin with. Like I said, I probably think the best weapon you can use here is the combat shotgun, as I'm doing here. Other shotguns would obviously do as well. However, yeah, I think laser rifles or so are just too weak, and the harpoon gun just is too unstealthy. You want something that's suppressed, so you're not really stealthy to begin with. You really don't want to hinder yourself by using something that you can suppress. I think if you have an unsuppressed weapon, there's no chance that you will get into caution in fights again while fighting. So yeah, I really hope that what I was going for here is made kind of clear, that you understood what I was going for, because yeah, as I said, it's a lot to unpack here, a lot of stuff working together, but overall I found it quite interesting, and I'm pretty sure that there are people out there who could do crazy stuff with this combination. I mean, it's kind of suspicious that we never seen anyone talk about combining, especially taking one for the team and follow through. But it is kind of possible. So you just want to have a stealthy, not so stealthy character. Now another solution you could have is just have a very stealthy character and just approach enemies and let them hit you while you're not crouching. Then crouch and be immediately in caution. Would probably work better, however, would require you to do a bit more, like for yourself. And I'm lazy, so I actually wanted to use it that way. I had a ton of fun here. To be honest, basically it plays similar to just like a shotgunner, like you would imagine. Now, one big problem with shotguns, obviously, is their range. So you really want to get relatively close to enemies, which oftentimes you see me not doing, for example, with this guy over there. So overall, yeah, that way you are going to waste a lot of bullets, a lot of shotgun shells, sorry, for all the gun nuts out there. I apologize. So you're going to waste a lot of shots when doing that, but overall, I think shotgun shells are kind of easy to maintain and, sorry, not maintain, to get a hold on. And yeah, therefore using like 3 to 4 shots isn't too bothersome, for me at least. And overall, yeah, you can just have a hail of bullets going out, like it's a really fun build. Definitely not the most effective one, but in terms of damage output, if you're not using VETs, I think that's probably my most powerful shotgunner so far. I really wish I could show you how it performs with a level 50 shotgun, but sadly, yeah, we don't have that. Maybe I'm going to revisit it sooner or later, but I think you can imagine how it would go. So here again, we have something out of range. And as you saw there, while the enemy was directly in front of us, we still managed to get back into caution. That's another thing. Just I'm not too great on adapting to these kind of playstyles. I always am on the move. I really forget to stand still all of the time, but I think there were some pretty good situations where it was quite clear, and especially with the Scorch Beast, I think we really saw how everything turns out once all the multiplicators come together. And yeah, I'm kind of burned out now. This was really one of my hardest videos to record so far, just because I had to explain so much stuff. I'm fairly confident I haven't forgotten any of the important stuff here, but yeah, obviously there's other stuff to talk about. How yeah, usually I'm talking about condition and all that stuff, and ammo efficiency and everything. But on this occasion, I don't really want to bother with that because yeah, that wasn't the point here. The only other thing I wanted to mention is that I was specifically looking for a shotgun with the ghost effect, because that's another thing I wanted to see here, if the ghost effect is useful. I've so far found it kind of redundant. It's not good enough to make you stealthy on a character that otherwise isn't, and it's not good enough to make a difference on an already stealthy character. So I kind of don't see the point of the effect. But yeah, that was the gameplay part of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Now we're going to take a last look at our guy here in full Mistress of Mystery Strangleheart power armor. And yeah, now let's take a look at the mutations and everything. So here we are with mutations. We do have Bird Bones, Eagle Eyes, Electrically Charged, Marsupial, and Speed Demon. So to be completely honest, there's nothing necessary here. The only thing I would really recommend you is Bird Bones, just for the extra agility in order to be more stealthy. We really need every little bit of agility, chameleon gear, and everything in order to be at least somewhat stealthy. Then Eagle Eyes is there as a leftover from another build, and it's completely useless. We don't use VETs, so extra perception and crit damage doesn't do any good for us. However, yeah, it doesn't have a real considerable downside as well, because yeah, it's just -1 strength with Class Freak. So yeah, that just impacts our carry weight a little bit. Electrically charged also has no downside, so it's left in there. And Marsupial and Speed Demon, those are always great. Better jump height, better movement speed, especially noticeable when you're crouching, in my opinion. And lastly, the reload speed. So there's not a lot going on here. Obviously, you could fiddle around with a lot of stuff here, make yourself more tanky and so on, but that wasn't really the point of the video here, so I didn't really bother too much with the mutations. Then it comes to equipment, and here the most important stuff here obviously is you want to have an executioner's shotgun, just because, as I mentioned, it's one of the big four multiplicative damage boosts that we still have in the game. So yeah, I wanted to have that. In addition to that, we do have explosive bullets. Not really necessary. I mean, they're kind of nice on the shotgun. Not too overpowered though, so possibly you would have better use out of something like 25 damage while aiming, I guess. Faster fire rate I wouldn't really value too highly here, and obviously the VETS effects aren't too great either because we're not using them. So ultimately, yeah, I probably would have chosen a executioner's combat shotgun with 25 damage while aiming. However, even though we have legendary crafting for free on custom worlds if we want to, yeah, the things I wanted to have is the ghost effect and the executioner's effect, and really explosive was the second best thing here. The only real reason I wasn't really too sold on explosive is you can definitely stealth play with explosive weapons, especially if you are on a stealthy character. They don't really impact your stealth too much. However, what they do is they make enemies aware of an enemy. Yeah, you in that situation. Like, they don't bring the enemy's attention to your point in the game, but to the point where your where your shots land, as far as I know. So they do have an impact on your stealth, but not too big, so therefore I didn't really bother here. And yeah, that's the weapon. We do have a hardened receiver for best damage output, stabilized barrel because, yeah, we don't use that, so we might as well go for some better recoil control. Forceful stock, same again, better recoil control, and in addition to that, better condition. Perforating magazine, there's no real other choice here, to be honest, because, yeah, when it comes to shotguns, this is basically the only thing you can do other than legendary effects in order to increase the armor penetration, which is also working kind of multiplicative, because it's a debuff to your enemy, or yeah, it's not a debuff to your enemy, but it doesn't have to do with damage directly, so just keep that in mind, but that's not the point of the video again. And then we do have standard glow front side ring, just because, yeah, we don't need a reflex sight or anything, and I wanted to have that one for stylistic options, but that's just personal preference. And obviously we do have the suppressor. I already talked about how that is important for obvious reasons. And yeah, as you saw there, it's level 30, sadly, so there's quite a lot of improvement when it comes to that. Then we take a look at our equipment in terms of armor. We do have a full set of chameleon armor, strangler heart here. The secondary effects, except for this here AP refresh piece, aren't too noteworthy, but even the AP refresh is kind of unnecessary because we're not utilizing it in any way. Honestly, I just wanted to have a chameleon set. I decided for Strangleheart just because I wanted to see if it's good on shotguns, but still, if you see my video about Strangleheart Power Armor, the first one, yeah, sadly the poison effect is kind of lost on pretty much every enemy you'll fight in the late game, because all of them have so high poison resistance that, yeah, the poison damage just straight up does nothing. Well, anyways, still a good armor piece, I guess. And then we do have a Strangleheart helmet with internal database for just a little bit more intelligence, but yeah, to be honest, nothing else we could need here. And yeah, that's it in terms of equipment. And let's take a look at the perks. We do have 15 strength. We need traveling pharmacy here, sadly. Otherwise, I couldn't move, but we're not missing out on anything, so it's okay. Just reduces the weight of our stimpaks and so on. And then we do have all the shotgunner perks maxed out for maximum damage, and scattershot, which is kind of important for your reload speed. Not as important when it comes to the combat shotgun, just because it reloads relatively fast compared to other shotguns, but still. nice to have, I guess. Then we do have Skeet Shooter. This is really kind of important here. It reduces the spread of your shotgun, and that means that you have an easier time getting 4 hits in on your enemy. That's an important thing because, as Tyr explained rather well and shown, basically, the explosive part of your shotgun doesn't trigger the tenderizer perk. You really need to hit the enemy with your pellets themselves, and reducing your spread actually helps quite a lot with that, obviously. In addition to just getting more damage in on the enemy, period. So, yeah. Then we do have Endurance, we use for fireproof, as always, basically. On this occasion, though, it's even more important because we are working with a close-range explosive weapon. So, yeah, the danger of damaging ourselves would be quite high if we wouldn't have fireproof here. Then onto Charisma, we do have Tenderizer. Pretty obviously, I talked about it a lot in the video. This is quite important, as I said. It says make your target receive 10% more damage for 10 seconds after you attack, which, as tier proven, can go up to 40% if you have a weapon that has 4 pellets that can hit the enemy at the same time. On a shotgun, we should have 8, I think it is. So yeah, if half of your shots, or not shots, half of your pellets hit the enemy, you get the 40%. Then we go on to Intelligence, where we do have batteries included. This is just because I had a lot of fusion cores on me and didn't want to be overweight here. And obviously we do have Demo Expert for just a little bit more damage from the explosive part of our weapon. If you don't have an explosive version, have maybe the one I mentioned earlier, Executioner's 25% damage while aiming, and the Ghost effect, then I would just recommend you use Makeshift Warrior. Would be a nice idea, by the way, because that way you could also have a level 50 version of the weapon with a suppressor. So everything else would be pretty dumb, wouldn't it? Then you have Agility at 15. Obviously, I wanted to have it as high as possible here. We do have Covered Operative, which sadly does not work multiplicatively, but still, if we are in stealth, we get a little bit more damage here. We do have Enforcer, quite a useful tool more than anything when it comes to shotgunners. There's very rarely a shotgunner I would advise to not use Enforcer, just because if the situation gets out of hand, you can pretty much make any enemy useless by crippling their limbs, so you can make them static, they can't move anymore, and yeah, pretty useful, especially on this build because it lets you control situations more. So you can actually, if you fight a tougher target like, as I said, Sheep Squatch maybe, take out its limbs and you have breathing room to get all of your multipliers together, meaning cripple its limbs, go near enough so that it can get a hit on you, back off, crouch, stand still for 1 or 2 seconds. You should be able to get into caution, and at that point start blasting the enemy, and you will have a time frame of like 5 to 10 seconds where all of your multipliers come in together once your enemy is down to 40% health. So yeah, that's basically the way to deal with tougher targets here. Then we do have Sneak. Obviously, as I said, we want to be as tanky as possible. Power Armor just isn't, sorry, not tanky, sneaky. Power Armor just isn't made for stealth, obviously. So you need every little boost you can get. Then we do have Escape Artist. This is very important for the whole playstyle here. This makes it so you can actually get into caution again during a fight, and basically one of the most important perks of this build here. However, it's always important if you make a stealth character. Then you have Adrenaline here, just for having Adrenaline here. Not a lot else that we could have made use out of, to be honest. And yeah, since we're trying to get as much damage out as possible, Adrenaline is a good pick here, I guess. Then we do have Luck at 14, relatively high for a non-VATS build, but yeah. We do have Ricochet just to make us a little bit more tanky. After all, we're getting shot all of the time. Then we do have Luck of the Draw just to help us a little bit with our condition on the weapon, since we're not having room for Gunsmith at rank 5. Then we do have Class Freak just to reduce our downsides from the mutations a little bit. Starch Genes, which is always there just to let us keep our mutations and not get any new ones. And lastly, we do have quick hands. After all, the shotgun has a relatively limited magazine size of 8. Um, that is, if we use the uh, perforating magazine. I think if you have the drum magazine, you can go up to 12 shots, maybe 14. I'm not quite sure from the top of my head, but doesn't really matter because you want to have the perforating one, and even if not, the magazine size isn't going to be crazy good. So yeah, quick hands can actually be quite useful here. And now getting into the legendary perks, the most interesting ones right out of the bat. Not sorry, the least interesting ones. Strength and luck just boosted in order to get me some more perk points. Perks that I can use. Then we do have agility maxed out in addition to being at 15 agility to begin with. So overall, I think we are at 21 agility or so. Let me just check that real quick. 24 actually, due to bird bones. So yeah, you could go higher. Maybe think about a set of chameleon agility power armor. That would be neat, bring you up to 29. Could definitely be a great help, but yeah, sadly we don't have that, and I didn't really have the time. But yeah, a lot of agility just to make you more stealthy. Should be quite obvious. Then we do have electric absorption just because it's such a great perk for survivability when you are in power armor. Now, if you were able to actually make a full-on stealth character with a power armor character, obviously this would be obsolete because in that situation you wouldn't get hit, but that's not what we're doing here. We're actually trying to actively be hit all of the time, and not that we have to because it just happens. But yeah, just adds to your survivability a little bit. And lastly, the most important perks here, follow through and taking one for the team. So as you can see there, ranged sneak attack damage increases to target damage to target by 40% for 10 seconds. Meaning you have to hit an enemy once and then from stealth, and then you get 40% extra damage for the next 10 seconds. And lastly, we do have taking one for the team. Enemies take 40% more damage when they attack you if you're on team. So yeah, they have to be actually aggro to you. So really, it's kind of hard to make out what the exact situations are that need to come together in order to make this whole build work. But it's just something that happens naturally. After all, I had a really hard time to confirm if everything went out as expected, just because, I mean, this comes to the main reason why Bethesda changed their model from multiplicative to additive. It just gets out of hand real quick. You really lose track of what damage buff comes from where and how everything comes together. But I just have a gut feeling that, yeah, there were situations where everything worked together quite fine, and we did a ton of damage. So yeah, bit all over the place, bit of an experiment here. Take everything I said with a little bit of a grain of salt. As I just explained, it's kind of hard to verify all of the stuff I'm saying here, just because in the heat of battle you do have very short time spans where in theory everything could work together. In addition to that, you do have a ton of damage numbers on the screen just from having the explosive perk and the pellets hitting, so you have like 16 damage numbers floating around, and you want to try to shoot as much as possible in a short time, so it really gets kind of hard to make out individual damage numbers and calculate them back and everything. So I hope it went through to you what I wanted to say and what I wanted to show in this video. I really think if you watch certain situations, I'm pretty sure the best point in this video to make out what this build was about was actually the last few shots against the Scorched Beast. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, guys. This was a bit of a tough one. Thanks if you made it through to this point in the video. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, see you next time. Bye.